Akash, have you started the recording or you want me to start?
Sir, it has been started. Recording is on.
Okay, so then I won't record. Thanks. It's 4 past 11. Akash, it's your call. I'll wait for you to introduce and then we'll start.
Yes, sure.
एक बार उस साइड भी देख लेना।
गुड मॉर्निंग एवरीवन, जय जिनेंद्र सभी को। पर्युषण पर्व के चलते इस त्योहार में आप सब आज जुड़े हो और आज के सेशन का हम लोग स्टार्ट कर रहे हैं अभी। आई लाइक टू इनवाइट आवर स्पीकर हितेश जी पोरवाल, फाउंडर ऑफ BizStart, to start with our session on how to come up with winning startup ideas. Over to you, Hitesh sir.
Thank you so much, Akash, and Jai Jinendra to everyone. We are going to talk about startup ideas today, how to come up with ideas, and importantly, ideas are easy. How to evaluate a startup idea, whether it will be a successful startup or not. So we are going to talk about that. This is our second session in a series of sessions for stage 2 qualifiers. So 358 of you have qualified for stage 2.
Hitesh bhai, you're on mute.
Hitesh sir, can you unmute? Yeah.
Hitesh bhai, you're on mute. Hitesh bhai?
Yes. Now I am right. Someone unmuted me, right? So I was struggling. Anyway, so I hope you are able to hear me okay now. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, Hitesh bhai.
Great. Okay. So we are going to take a recap of what we achieved in our last session. So we spoke about the opportunities for entrepreneurs, especially coming from the potential growth in the Indian economy. We spoke about that we are the 5th largest economy. We have reached $3.75 trillion, 3,75,000 crores in INR. And we are expected to grow to 10 trillion, 10 lakh crores. And that is the opportunity for the entrepreneur. Then we spoke about two kinds of opportunities, and we said these are very different opportunities. A business is not a startup is not a business. And what are the 4 differences between a business and startup? We understood that a startup tries to create a new business model. It has got a potential for infinite growth. Then there is an involvement of technology or innovation. And fourthly and lastly, the nature of funding for a startup is equity based, whereas in case of a business, it is debt. Then we spoke about the relationship of creativity, innovation, and entrepreneurship. It's not enough to come up with a creative idea. If a creative idea solves a problem, then it is an innovation. And for an innovation to become an entrepreneurial venture, an entrepreneur has to put the resources right and convert that innovation into a product or a service. Then I did a demo of all the modules of the Jitopreneurs platform. All of you have got exclusive access now to all the modules. Few of you didn't have access to 25 profiles. You had only 20. All that has been increased to 25. So all of you can enjoy all the profiles. You can enjoy the ebook. We asked you to read chapters 1 and 2. And we also asked you to answer 4 questions of the business plan module, question number 1, 2, 3, and 27. And then we ask you to update the business plan. So that was what we achieved last week. What are we going to achieve this week? 2 goals, right? We are going to understand if there is a science in coming up with a winning startup idea, as Akash said, right? idea तो easy है, we can think of a lot of ideas, but how to come up with a winning idea? Is there a science behind coming up with a winning idea? We are going to talk about that. And in the second part of the session, total is around 45 minutes. So in the second half, we are going to talk about if you have got an idea or if you already have a startup, do you want to test the validity? Do you want to evaluate the idea? We are going to talk about that. So let's start with the first one, how to come up with a startup idea. And let me first share a personal loss or a personal story which I had. As a few of you asked about my profile last week, and I told that I belong to Jodhpur, and I shifted to Bombay in the year 1998 in search of job. Now, after shifting to Bombay, I made a couple of blunders, decisions in my life in the first few years, which cost me $6 billion. Yes, it was $6 billion. And this was across two mistakes. The first mistake was coming from Jodhpur to Bombay. I found a lot of differences in the city. And one of the most problematic for me was to use the transportations. If all of you know, Bombay travels on train and they are crowded. And in 1998, it wasn't even easier to travel on road, right? Because there was no CNG, there were no AC cabs, no Ola, Ubers, and you had to travel in what we call Kali Pilis. So these were old Fiat cars with grease on their doors. I just smoke all around because it was diesel, dirty cars, dirty seats, and a lot of actually also traffic. So what I did, right, when any friend from Jodhpur would ask, how is Bombay? I would say, yaar, yahan pe sab theek hai na, lekin transportation is a challenge. You cannot travel in a BST bus because the streets are so crowded. You cannot travel in a cab because it is humid and you are sweating and dirty cars, no AC, and you can't I by train. So sab acha hai, but I saw a problem, a transportation, and what I did about it, I complained. People in Bombay, my new friends would ask me, how is Bombay? And I would say, yaar, aapke yahan pe sab theek hai, lekin na, transportation is a challenge. I cannot even travel as I would in Jodhpur, right? It was easy, right? You could go anywhere in 5 minutes. So I saw a problem. And what I did about it is I complained. At the same time, two friends who saw the same problem in the year 1998, they didn't choose to complain. They chose to create Ola. And Ola is worth $5 billion today. So I had a wrong pair of glasses to look at a problem. And they had a different pair of glasses. And I saw the problem as a problem and I complained about it. And I felt good about complaining. And they said, we are not going to complain. We are going to see if there's a startup opportunity. And they saw a startup opportunity and they created Ola. So that was my first loss. My second loss, my wife used to love to watch a movie in the first week. Now in Bombay, you have to travel a little bit in order to go to a movie theater. And then you have a lot of uncertainty. Ticket milega ke nahi milega, because you didn't have any means to find, right? And then at times you reach there and you see a board sold out, and then you see a few people who are selling in black ticket, if you understand, if it is still there in your cities, but yahan pe bahut tha us samay, and you had to pay 200, 150 rupees extra over and above whatever actually the fare was at that time. And then I would feel bad about it. Ek to ki ghar se jana hai aur uncertainty hai ki ticket milega ki nahi milega, and on top of that, if you have to buy, right, I didn't like paying black, right? I felt it was wrong. And again, I saw a problem, and what I did, I complained about it. Again, my friends would ask, how is Bombay? I said, yahan pe sab theek hai, lekin ek to transportation aur ek ye, you don't know whether you'll get a ticket when you want to see a movie, right? So I complained. This was again in the year 1998. At the same time, when I was complaining, someone had a different pair of glasses to look at the same problem, and they created. Can someone type in the chat box who these friends were and what kind of a startup did they create to solve the problem about which I was complaining? Yes, it was Book My Show. Book My Show is worth $1 billion today. So I lost 5 billion in Ola. I lost $1 billion in Book My Show. And after that, I said, I'm going to change my glasses. So I got this new pair of glasses. And now every time I see a problem, I see an opportunity. I saw another problem after I learned this lesson, right? Everyone was saying, Atmanirbhar ho jao, Atmanirbhar ho jao. And the default answer of everyone is, it is easier to say कि आत्मनिर्भर हो जाओ, अपना entrepreneurship कुछ कर लो, but it is difficult to do it, right? So I had a choice to complain about it, but this time I had a new pair of glasses and I said, I'm not going to complain about it this time. This time I'm going to convert this problem into an opportunity. So I'm a founder of a business start who's helping people become Atmanirbhar, if you think about it. So now I don't see a problem as a problem. I always see a problem as an opportunity. Let's move ahead. So what did we learn from those two stories? Super important. I mean, if you don't get anything from this session today, just get it. The starting point of any successful startup is a problem, not a solution, because a solution has to evolve as you want to solve a problem. So don't try to think of startup ideas. So this session is about startup ideas, but don't force yourself to think about. Look for problems. These are the day-to-day problems around you, around us, every day, around your industry. In your industry, you may be into an industrial industry, you may be into a sari manufacturing, any industry. What are the problems in that industry? And those problems are the opportunities for either a startup or an innovative business. So don't force yourself to think of a solution or an idea. Just look around, be aware about the problems. Now, again, it is very easy to say there are problems, right? But is there a science to look for problems in a systematic way so that we really, at the end of that exercise, we end up with a solid startup idea which has got a potential to be a success, right? Is there a science so that we look at a problem in a particular way? And the answer is yes. One of the sciences which I have used for a couple of years with all my clients, and you may have heard about this person. He's considered to be the guru of innovation. He's got so many research papers. He died, in fact, in 2020, but he has taught at Harvard, everywhere. And if you know about this guy, he has done research on not one, two industries, on hundreds of industries. And he has found a pattern कि हर industry में जब disruption होता है, कुछ innovative idea आता है, तो वो इस form में आता है. And he calls it DIF, a disruptive innovation framework. It is Clayton's framework. And we are going to see what are the steps, and we are going to apply his framework to come up with a startup idea today. So let us look at what this disruptive innovation framework is. There are 4 steps in it, very simple. This is not a complicated thing. And he did it for the steel industry, for the paper industry, for the automobile industry. So if you go and check his YouTube videos or papers, you'll see that he has proved that this model works in all the industries, right? Which is why it is important. And I've applied it for a business, it works. I've applied it for a startup, it works. I've applied it for hundreds of my clients, it works. So it is important for all of you also to learn. If you're struggling with how to come up with a startup idea, this is one of the frameworks. I'm going to talk about 4 other ways, which are small points, but this is the biggest point which I'm going to make today. So the first step, if you're struggling to come up with a startup idea, is to first identify a big market. एक बड़ा market के बारे में, you identify a big market. It could be education. So say, for example, I picked up higher education or entrepreneurship education as my startup as and when I started, right, with this framework. You can also pick up, right? It could be banking, it could be insurance, it could be HR, it could be education, right? I mean, you pick up but pick up a big market where there are a lot of players. Don't pick a market where there are no competitors, there is no one serving, no industry, no business. Pick a market which is big and a lot of players in that market, okay? Second, within that market, find a few people who have a need which is not being met by the existing players in the market. So say, for example, I'll give you an example. For years, we had so many banks, private banks, cooperative banks, actually also the public sector banks, but there was a need in the market. छुट्टा पैसा का problem था इंडिया में, right? But for 40-50 years, a big industry, but there was a need. People were struggling. हम टॉफियां exchange कर रहे थे because we didn't have a rupee या 50 पैसा coin, right? So there was a need to make instant payments, small payments in a denomination of 1 rupee, 1.5 rupees. But the big players were not focusing on that. So who focused on that? Can someone put it in the chat, please? So who saw that underserved market? Yeah, Paytm, right? UPI, all this, right? ये पिछले 5-7 साल में है, but ये 40 साल से problem था इंडिया में, right? So now, once you identify, I'm not asking you to think of only the banking sector. I'm saying pick any big market. आपका industry भी हो सकता है, right? It could be your engineering, manufacturing business or any business, right? Pick up a big market और उसमें सोचो कि जो भी बड़े प्लेयर्स हैं, ऑल द बिजनेस ओनर्स, इंडस्ट्रीज, वो कौन सा नीड पीपल का नहीं मेट कर रहे हैं. सो देयर इज अ निश, अ स्मॉल सेगमेंट ऑफ द पीपल हु आर अंडर सर्व्ड और नॉट सर्व्ड एट ऑल, जिनकी तरफ कोई देख नहीं रहा है. एंड क्लेटन का ये कहना है कि हर इंडस्ट्री में ऐसा सीन होता है कि ऑल द बिग प्लेयर्स फोकस ऑन द बिजनेस विच इज गिविंग देम अ प्रॉफिट. जो उनका प्रॉफिटेबल सेगमेंट होता है, जो प्रॉफिटेबल उनका प्रोडक्ट या सर्विस होता है, बड़े प्लेयर्स उसके ऊपर ही फोकस करते हैं. वो छोटा जो निश होता है, उनका जो अनमेट नीड होता है, उसको इग्नोर करते हैं. दिस इज हाउ ऑल द मार्केट्स वर्क एंड ही हैज प्रूव्ड इट. तो आपको भी ये फाइंड करना है एक बिग मार्केट में कौन सा निश है जो अंडर सर्व्ड है या अनसर्व्ड है. ओके, आई होप एवरीवन इज विथ मी सो फार. नेक्स्ट, now यहाँ पे थोड़ा काम करना पड़ेगा, राइट? I did this for around a couple of months. Now वो जो niche है ना, वहाँ जहाँ पे you feel कि यार ये unserved market है, you need to talk to 50 to 100 people in that niche, right? And you can find, आजकल it has become so easy, you can find people on like Reddit, on Twitter, and LinkedIn, right? And you can ask, right, maybe 2 or 3 questions, right, about that niche. What are your pain points? वो कौन सा पॉइंट है जो आपके करंट प्लेयर्स अभी आपको सर्व नहीं कर रहे हैं? तो अगर हम ये चीज 15-20 साल पहले उनसे जाके पूछते तो बोलते कि यार छुट्टा पैसा का प्रॉब्लम है, हमें टॉफियां दी जाती है, राइट? व्हाट इज इट दैट इज कॉजिंग स्ट्रेस? what do you wish you had? What do you think, right? You'll have to do this work. You'll have to talk to real people because startups are not easy, right? And the biggest problem or the biggest reason why startups fail is because they miss this step. They don't bother to talk to the people about a need which you feel there is, but they may have a different opinion. So we are trying to check with people who have an unmet need and underserved niche. We are trying to understand from them, right, कि आपका problem क्या है, right? Do you really feel you are being unserved? In fact, let me give you a recent example, right? Again, a banking sector, again a big sector, right? Unfortunately, they serve all kinds of clients. They've got a corporate account client, and they've got a personal account, and they've got a society account. They're trying to meet all the niches, but there's a big niche called startup founders. Startup founders have a different need of a banking than a traditional corporate or a business account, right? Everyone ignored it. And then this bank in the US failed a couple of months back. After that, now all the banks in India are trying to meet this underserved startups. Startups are underserved. It is a niche. यार हमारा बैंकिंग नीड अलग है, लेकिन एक भी बैंक के पास हमारे लिए प्रोडक्ट नहीं है, right? This is another example, right? You can come up with your own like industry, as I said, but you talk to these people and you use any of the social media platforms and try to log the responses. वो क्या बोलते हैं उनको जरा टैग कर दो कि what are the big themes जो उसमें से आ रहे हैं. Hope everyone is with me at this stage. Suyansh, I'm going to take your question after I complete my thought, okay? And the last step, right? जो वो 50-100 लोग आपको बोलते हैं, you compile and analyze the data. Most important, don't bring your opinion, don't force your solution into it, right? Just compile उन्होंने क्या बोला कि यार ये big market में है और आज की तारीख में हमारे ऊपर कोई ध्यान नहीं दे रहा है. What are the most significant stressors and pain points identified during your research? We call it a research. It's just talking to 50 to 100 people and most importantly, look for the common themes and identify the biggest problem. So very simple. If you're struggling to come up with a startup idea, identify a big market, a market which has got competition, right? You already have players, लेकिन वो players कौन सा ऐसा निश का नीड फुलफिल नहीं कर रहे हैं, ऐसे लोगों, ऐसे 100 लोगों से बात करो, कंफर्म करो क्या है वो, और वो डेटा कंपाइल करो. जस्ट डू दैट, राइट? देन अभी हमको स्टार्टअप आइडिया चाहिए. लेट द डेटा गाइड यू टू जन. अगेन, डोंट पुट योर ओपिनियन. वो डेटा क्या बोल रहा है, जो भी उन लोगों ने बोला, जो आपका हाईएस्ट या टॉप 1 या 2 थीम्स आए उसमें से, कि जो निश ने बोला कि यार ये हमारी नीड है जो आजकल के एग्जिस्टिंग प्लेयर्स मीट नहीं कर रहे हैं. कंपाइल दैट डेटा एंड लेट दैट डेटा गाइड यू. ना वो डेटा के बेसिस पे जो भी आइडिया, जो भी नीड, जो भी पेन पॉइंट आया, I'm sorry, you develop your startup concept around that pain point. You don't have to apply any mind. You spoke to people, उन्होंने बोला ये हमारा need है, develop a startup concept, right? Because it has come from real need. The first slide of my session today was the starting point should be a problem. In this way, we have systematically identified a problem that a niche has. But after that, execute your plan with a determination. Don't self-doubt, because it's not your opinion. You don't need to doubt, right? It has come from real people, a real need. Execute your plan with a determination. So that could be one way to come up with a startup idea. I'm going to stop and take a question. If anyone has got an urgent comment, I'll just go and check. Please post your questions in. Okay. Is there a question? Yes, Swansh, you can put your question in the chat. We'll have a look at it. Right. We'll open up for a verbal question and answer at the end of it. Okay. So just put it in the chat. Okay. In interest of time, I'll move ahead because we've got only 45 minutes and then we want Q&A session. So this is one way. I mean, all of you could have your own way. Let me put the chat box out of my way. So this is one way. So let us talk of what are 4 other ways, right? तो एक ये था कि disruptive innovation जो framework हर industry में ऐसे ही जो innovation होता है. This approach has worked for hundreds of unicorns and high-flying startups. If it worked for them, it could work for you. Let us talk of something else. 4 other ways, right? चलो अगर आपको disruptive में कुछ समझ में नहीं आ रहा है, तो let us see यहाँ से आपको कुछ idea मिले. First, any problem which you have personally faced in your life and you felt यार इसका कुछ solution नहीं है. I did a job for 18 years, as I said, 5 years with the Bombay Stock Exchange and 14 years with an American hedge fund administrator. And after that, when I wanted to become an entrepreneur, I saw it was very difficult, right? I mean, there was no portal where I could explore ideas, where I could schedule a call with someone in an industry where I didn't have a mama, papa, chacha to talk to. I didn't know what a business plan was. I didn't know the difference between a business and a startup. I mean, I didn't have any systematic like resources available at a single place. So I went through that personal pain as well. So if you are going through a personal pain in your life, or if you have gone through a personal pain in your life, or if you know someone close, a relative or a friend or your kids, right? If you are old, right? Are they going through a personal pain? Because as we said, the starting point of a startup has to be a problem, a pain, right? So either you have gone through that, you are going through that, or you know someone close who is genuinely going through a pain, it is a startup opportunity. Definitely, because the starting point is not you thinking, you are seeing a pain. You have gone through that pain yourself. Second, a few people are passionate, right? I'm not sure out of 49 people on the call, how many are, we call these crazy people, right? Elon Musk is one of them, right? He doesn't care, right, about losing billions just because he's got a passion. Are you amongst those crazy people and you want to work on an area or a problem all your life, or at least for the next 5-10 years, even if you know that you may not succeed? Are you one of those crazy people? You could be, right? I'm not saying you be crazy, but there are few people who come up with a successful startup idea just because they are passionate about an area. yeah, ultimately Earth will be destroyed and people will have to live on Mars. It is a crazy idea, but you're passionate about it. And you work on everything which you are doing, which is like Elon Musk says, right? So you could have, you don't need to have a big problem, right? You may have a small problem, but you're really passionate, right, about it. And that could be your startup idea about your passion, right? Because it's super important. If you buy a startup idea from others, right, or you take it from others, it's not your idea. I'm telling you, you will fail, because after 1-2 years you will hit some challenges. And if it is not an area where you are passionate about, someone who's passionate about the same idea is going to win, right? So try to choose something which you love to do for 5-10 years, not for a year, or just because it is going to help you make some money in the short term. Third, a lot of you may have got experience working in a business or in a job. Which parts of that business or the company where you worked you felt were unorganized? In my ebook, you all have got access to ebook there. I think I gave a couple of examples. Someone worked in an organization, and then there they found the HR system was really broken. And he said, I'm going to convert it into a business, and he created a big business out of it. See, if you think about it, I'm not sharing rocket science here, right? I'm just sharing a need for you to be open, listening for problems with all the antennas up. कोई problem, कोई भी complain करे आज की तारीख के बाद, at least do an exercise for the next 7 days. If anyone complains to you, put your new glasses on and see if there's an opportunity, right? It could be your own problem, it could be a problem. अगर आपने खुद कहीं job किया, if you have done a job, you have a business, and you feel some part of that business is unorganized, that again could be a startup opportunity. And finally, there is no shame in imitating a business model which has worked for someone else. See, in India, there are 1.4 billion people. We need 10 Olas, we need 10 Paytms, right? We need everything multiplied by 10. You could have an Uber for the rural area. You could have an Amazon for also the rural area. There is no one there, right? So if there is a business model which is already tried and tested, it has worked for someone, you could come up with an Uber for plumbers, right? I mean, I don't know if it is a great idea, but I'm just sharing few examples. Don't be ashamed of imitating. Your idea need not be original. It need not be your idea. It could be someone else's idea. It could be someone else's business model, how they earn profit, right? There is no shame in copying it. The Flipkart guys were not the ones who came up with the idea first, right? They were employees in Amazon, if you think about it. WhatsApp was not the first chat. If you know, a few people who are old enough, right? BlackBerry, there was a BBM feature, right? So does anyone know that at BlackBerry, around 10 years back or 15 years back, there was a BBM feature, which was a WhatsApp feature, right? So WhatsApp took that feature, but BBM made it available only for the people who had a BlackBerry. So in order to have a free chat, you had to have a BlackBerry. That was a problem. WhatsApp saw the same problem and then said that, can I make it open source, right? Can I make it available even if you have an Android phone or an Apple phone? And so it was an imitating a model, right? But it worked for them, right? So no shame there. You can copy. So we spoke about 5 ways. We start with a problem. Then we said, if you're not coming up with a problem, use a disruptive innovation framework. The 4 steps: start with a big problem, unmet need, talk to few people, and put the data. And from there, and then you could also have a personal pain, passion, experience, or imitation. Any quick question at this stage, because we are exactly 11:30, 32 past 11. So we are going to shift to the next part, which is how to evaluate your idea. But if there is any important question at this stage, put it in the chat box. Yeah, so there are always exceptions. So I think, Sohansh, you are bringing a point which we need to take offline. It's not like relevant for everyone. Yes. Okay. Any important question at this stage? I didn't see. So let us move ahead in interest of time. Okay. Are there enough startup now? All of you में से कि यार Paytm भी हो गया है, Ola भी हो गया है, Zomato भी हो गया है, Amazon भी हो गया है. Are there enough startup opportunity? क्या मेरे लिए कुछ बाकी है क्या? Now, all problems that you come across in your daily life, are there any problem? Unless you are saying कि life में कोई problem है ही नहीं, in which case I agree with you, there are no startup opportunities. But if you feel there are a lot of startup opportunities, there are a lot of problems in your life, then there are startup opportunities as well. Let me, yeah. So let me give you some examples. Are there enough startup opportunities, right? I mean, after all this exercise, let us talk about public transportation. कुछ problem है वहाँ पे, overburdened है system, last mile आज transport का issue है, ये e-bikes वाले आ रहे हैं, right? Here in Bombay, if you see, outside my house there is a bus stop and there is a startup called Voga, and they have kept small e-bikes which best travelers could take. Parking slot का big issue है, right? Everywhere. एजुकेशन में कुछ प्रॉब्लम है क्या? आई थिंक जिनके पास में डिग्री है उनके पास में जॉब नहीं है. कंपनीज आर सेइंग कि अच्छे एम्प्लॉयज नहीं मिलते और लाखों करोड़ों लोग हर साल इंडिया में 10 लाख लोग जॉब के लिए आते हैं, उनको जॉब नहीं मिलता हर महीने. सॉरी, राइट? क्वालिटी ऑफ एजुकेशन, क्वालिटी ऑफ टीचर्स. आई मीन सैनिटेशन, अभी इंडिया में 73 करोड़ पीपल इन इंडिया लैक बेसिक सैनिटेशन. इफ यू थिंक सारी प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व हो चुकी है, थिंक अगेन. एक्सेस टू हेल्थ केयर, टाइमली डॉक्टर अवेलेबल है क्या सबको, सबके पास एट द राइट कॉस्ट? रूरल एरियाज में है क्या? इवन इन अच्छा अर्बन एरियाज आई विल से, have you got specialty hospitals, etc.? Big opportunity. I'm not saying these are not problems which the government is going to solve. So if you're thinking yaar ye to government ki problem hai, I'm saying Ola is solving a public transportation issue. It's not a government problem. Government gives you a vision, right? It's almost always private players, startups solve government problems, right? So don't expect government to solve this problem. It is a startup opportunity. As I said, the qualified are not able to find a job and the corporates are saying कि अच्छे लोग नहीं मिलते हैं, जो मिलते हैं वो काम नहीं करते हैं. I mean there's a big issue. I belong to Jodhpur again, I'm saying, right? And there the biggest problem for the factories and industries is to hire a skilled employee because they don't want to work, right? Or they are not actually like qualified enough. Can you solve that problem? Legal, in fact, अभी तो पार्टी शुरू हुई है. We haven't even touched the problem in the legal justice space of the country. 3.5 करोड़ cases pending हैं. सुप्रीम कोर्ट में 71,000 cases pending हैं, right? I mean, we haven't even scratched the biggest industries in India where the biggest opportunities for entrepreneurs is the legal system and the education system of the country. And I'm not saying these are government. There are a lot of hundreds of small startup opportunities. Purity of vegetables and fruits we eat, right? Use of pesticides. I mean, I don't mind paying 10, 20, 30% extra for a fruit where we don't use a pesticide, but do I have a traceability, farm to fork, right? सब बात करते हैं उस startup की, कौन कर रहा है? Can I have a guarantee that I'll be able to use fruits and vegetables which are pesticide free? India में 40% of food is wasted. जो crop आती है उसका 40% is wasted by the time it is consumed. It is wasted in transportation, it is wasted in a restaurant by unused food, etc. 40%, right? I mean, what are we talking, right? People go to bed hungry, right? If we save by 40%, we can feed all of them, right? If you have an idea, right? It's not a problem which actually the government is going to solve. Air pollution, is that a problem? People in Delhi, right? If you are on, right, I want you to say if it is a problem. In Punjab, is it a problem? Noise pollution, is it a problem? Honking. When I was in a job, right, and I had a lot of guests coming from the US, and they always would feel कि ये horn India में इतना क्यों आज बजाते हैं, right? People don't have any way to go, right? So what's the point of honking? But I mean, if you could come up with a gaming idea to solve that honking problem, right? Construction ka pollution, right? I mean, clean water, 75% of the diseases are waterborne, and you may have the luxury of getting a municipal pipe in your house or in your apartment or in your bungalow. Only 25% of Indians have got access to clean drinking water in their premises. 75% opportunity, right? government karegi, great. But if you have an idea, I want to hear that. Power cuts, power thefts, fluctuation, sustainable alternatives, gas, energy, alternatives, sustainable. I mean, the whole industry, huge startup. Chalo, alag baat karte hain. Mental health. 5.6 crore people in India are in depression. 3.8 crores have anxiety disorders. Can you come up with some small app, a chip, right? Something, right? There is this startup in California, and I know about them because I know actually the investor in them, and they track some 1,000 parameters. They just put a chip in your pocket in a day, and then they can tell you, right, by the end of the day, right? Tatwam, can you put your phone on mute, please? Mental health, a big opportunity. Akash, can you put him on mute, or I'll see if I could put him on mute. Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I'll have to do all this again. Anyway, so we were at mental health, safety of women and crime prevention, location trackers, emergency alarms, right? 100 क्या वो काम करता है 119 199 whatever are actually the numbers, right? 80% of the times you don't get a person to pick up your call, right? Can we solve it, right? Distress calls, right? Addiction, right? Smoking, drugs, right? I mean, I'm shocked the speed at which drugs are spreading amongst the kids across the country. Earlier it was a metro. I would say that the students at the Wilson College in Bombay use drugs, right? And I used to feel about it, right? I know 10 colleges in Jodhpur which use drugs. I judge kids, and I know the names also, right? And how fast, and I know the whole science. 1.6 crore kids between 10 to 17 use a substance today. 1.6 crores. Can you do something? Oh, climate change, right? उसके बारे में तो बात ही नहीं की, right? Global temperature, right, are set to increase by 1.5 degrees average in the next 5 years, right? Sustainably, as a recycling industry, पूरा जो green बात, oh, political, उसका बारे में तो बात ही नहीं किया. Transparency, corruption, accountability, right? And if you think it is a problem for actually the government, I'm sorry. My next startup idea is about a political change, right? After 3-4 years, you'll see me. I've got some ideas on how to identify real issues by a constituency through apps and bring those issues on which people vote. I mean, right? It is a start, and I can go on. See, अभी तो मैंने broad problems की बात की है. अभी industry पे तो आया भी नहीं हूँ. If you go to each of the industry, paper industry, you'll get a similar list. So if you think कि सब problems हो चुकी है, startup idea नहीं है, as I said, अभी तो party शुरू हुई है. This is a golden 20-year of startup time in India, and we are in the first 2 years, right? So pick up any problem. Obviously, you have to, I follow the science. Let us move ahead. How to evaluate? Okay, so we are now done with the first part of our session. So I'll be fast on this one, and this will be fast. But before I do that, can I ask you a question? I want you to choose option 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and type 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 after you read all this. See, we are trying to help 358 people, and it's not possible for us to talk one-to-one. So I'm asking you to put answers into the business plan, etc. I'm doing one more exercise. We'll be doing a similar exercise on WhatsApp as well. It'll take only 20 seconds. Please read these sentences and type 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 in the chat box. Akash is going to track what is the help which you need. Are you looking to start a business but need help in finalizing your idea? Then choose one. I have finalized a business idea but need help in creating a business plan so that I can start confidently. Does 2 apply to you, or are you third? I have finalized a startup. Now we know the difference between a business and a startup, right? I have finalized a startup idea but need help in creating a prototype and validating my startup idea with real users. Does 3 apply to you? I already have a startup and a working product service. I'm looking for incubation support from JIF or any other incubation center across India. I already have a startup. I'm looking for a co-founder. Okay, you need a partner, you need a CTO, or you are a technical person, you need a business partner, right? A CEO maybe, right? Does that apply to you? Or I'm an existing business owner. I'm looking to grow my business by leveraging technology, right? One of these applies to you, please, 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 right? Because we are here to help you. Unless we know where you need help, because we are going to arrange real entrepreneurs come and talk to you. कौन सी industry से लाएं, कौन से stage के लाएं? We want to know from you. Request from all the 48 participants, please type where you want Jitopreneurs, Jito, Jitem to help. Is it 1, 2, 3, 4? Just type a number and it will be a huge help for us. A sincere request to all of you, please. And Akash, can you please take a note? I don't know how you take a note, but it'll be a good input for us, right? Everyone, please, if you are still left, thank you, Tatwam. Thank you, Amit, Prakhar. Really appreciate it. It'll help us. Please, please, and we'll move to the next as you answer this. Akash, are you on? And I hope you are taking note of this.
Sir, I am on in the chat. People are sending the messages. I am creating a poll on the WhatsApp. So maybe in some time on the group,
Yeah,
we will
also.
get a
And also-
WhatsApp poll so that we know exactly and we are able to, get back to you with your particular request.
Perfect. Since on the WhatsApp there are more people, and if there's a way to do a copy paste of this, I don't know how I do it, but just see, right? I don't want to lose the data which we got here. No? So just see how you can also capture this one. Okay. So let us move ahead to second part, the more interesting part, where which we said, how to evaluate your startup idea. Now you may have a startup idea or you're still thinking of it, which is fine. But for this exercise, do one thing, right? Choose one startup idea for this exercise. So this will be a fun exercise. It is a 10-minute exercise. Will be done in 5-10 minutes. Preferably choose a problem. Now all of you know कि यार startup का starting point ही problem है. इतना हमने सब आज समझा. The starting point of a startup is a problem. So if you have a startup idea, great. You freeze that idea in your mind. If you don't have a startup idea, assume one, right? अगर आप choose करते तो क्या करते? Choose a problem, right? But let this be a real exercise, please. Okay. Now I'm going to ask you a few questions about that one idea which you have in your mind. Can I just go back and first get a confirmation from everyone? Have you got one idea in your mind? Just put a thumbs up or yes, right, in the chat box. Quickly, right? I'm not going to wait for everyone, but I want to know if anyone needs an extra 30 seconds to think of one startup idea. You have to think of a problem, right? हमारे आसपास इतनी सारी प्रॉब्लम्स हैं. अगर आप किसी प्रॉब्लम को पिक करके उसका स्टार्टअप आइडिया कन्वर्ट करते, उसके ऊपर स्टार्टअप आइडिया स्टार्ट करते, तो वो क्या प्रॉब्लम होती? फ्रीज वन आइडिया इन योर माइंड. Just put a yes. I really appreciate 20 people, I had 19 people saying that. So I assume everyone has thought of one startup. अगर आपका ऑलरेडी एक स्टार्टअप या बिजनेस आइडिया है तो उसको ही रखिए. डोंट चेंज इट अनलेस यू वांट टू रियली चेंज योर आइडिया, राइट? हम एक एक्सरसाइज करेंगे. आई एम गोइंग टू आस्क यू initially 6 questions, right? और उसके बाद में 2 questions और, and you have to put a rating. आपके कहीं भी पेन या पेपर पे just put a rating 0, 5 और 10. जो भी प्रॉब्लम आपने आइडेंटिफाई. Can the symphony filter be put on me, please? Yeah, thanks. तो जो भी प्रॉब्लम आपने, whichever problem you have identified, is it a popular problem? Are a lot of people having this problem, or is it a problem only of a few people? And I know you can't give a correct answer now, but just assume, right? Whatever problem you want to solve, is it a big problem? Was Paytm solving a big problem, a popular problem? Yes, right? Everyone was having a problem, right? So it is an example of a popular problem, right? So जो भी problem आपने सोचा है, give a rating, give a score of 0 if you feel it's not a popular. Give a score of 10 to yourself if you feel it is a popular problem, and give a 5 if you don't know. Yeah, I'll have to find, or I'm not sure. So you got a score, right? 0, 5 or 10, right? For the first question, right? I'll move to the next question. I hope everyone is done. Is the problem which you chose, is that problem growing? Is it expected to grow in the next 4 or 5 years? Why it is important is, as a startup, I don't want you to pick a problem which is going to go down in popularity, in size also. We don't want to get into an industry which is going to close down in the next 4 or 5 years. But if you see that problem growing every day, it is a thumbs up. Give a 10 to yourself if the problem which you chose is growing, which means the market opportunity is going to expand in the next. If you are not sure, give a 5. If you feel it is not a growing problem, ye abhi hai, 2 साल बाद नहीं रहेगी, then give it a 0. Okay. Third, is the problem urgent? Are people looking for an urgent solution? The more urgent the problem which people want to solve, the greater or the better the startup idea. क्योंकि अगर वो urgent होगा, they will pay you for your solution. If it is not urgent, if you're selling vitamins and if you're selling a painkiller, people will pay for what? People will pay for आपके दांत में दर्द है. It has to be solved urgent. It is a problem which needs urgent solution. So anyone who solves that urgent problem has a higher chance to grow the business versus a vitamin. Yeah, I think we should have we should have a vitamin A, B, D. I should eat carrots. I mean, it is a good to have, not an urgent problem, right? So जो आपने problem सोचा है, if it is urgent, give 10, otherwise give 5 or else give 0. I hope everyone is done on 3. The last 3 questions. The fourth one, is the problem expensive to solve currently? आज जो भी alternatives market में available, whatever alternatives are available in the market, the competitors are available. Are the alternatives expensive? And if you are able to come up with an economical solution to that expensive problem, you've got a huge opportunity. Huge opportunity. If you know about why ONDC, an alternative to Amazon, if you have heard about ONCD or ONDC, I always get confused, whatever it is, right? Amazon was charging 30% of your product price for few products, right? For few, they were charging 2%, but they were charging 30-40% commission from a seller, a supplier, right? It was an expensive way to sell online. So you had a whole industry of D2C brands, right? Direct to consumer आ गए उसके बाद, तो वो सारे startups आ गए. They were solving an expensive problem which Amazon is a solution, I'm not saying. But then for a supplier, they are not able to earn a lot of profit because they charge a commission, and also the commission for a few of the industries was huge. And ONDC is a government initiative, right? So if you have got a problem which solves an expensive problem which people have, you've got a good idea. So give yourself 10. Next, is the problem which you're trying to solve frequent? Do people need a solution every now and then, right? If you think about Paytm, Amazon, Zomato, people need to eat food 3 times a day. So they picked up a problem which is not like if you want to hold a party, right? You come to Zomato. So how many times in a year you throw a party? Maybe once or twice, right? So it wasn't a frequent problem. They picked, if you want to order a food from a restaurant, a frequent, you may order it once every week, I don't know, right? Once every month, but it is a frequent problem. So give yourself 10 score if the problem which you are solving is a frequent problem for your customers to solve. Finally, is it a mandatory problem, right? There are a lot of problems which we live with, they don't have to be solved, but there are few problems जो हमें solve करना ही पड़ता है, right? Education. I need to give good education to both of my kids, right? I mean, it is a mandatory problem, right? I have to. So I will go and find which is the best institute in my city, right? A mandatory problem. And if there are not good educational institutes in your city, I'm not saying you build a college, it is a multi-billion-dollar project, right? But come up with a solution, right? The whole idea is pick a problem for which people have to find a solution. So just going back, is the problem popular? What was your score? So count your score, right? So is it a growing problem? Is it an urgent problem? Is it an expensive problem to solve in terms of alternatives? Is it a frequent problem? Is it a mandate problem? Now just see if you got at least 3 10s out of 6, at least 3 10 scores you must get. Otherwise, you need to talk to me in the next sessions. Don't pick up a problem if you didn't get 3 10s. I mean, I'm not saying it is very scientific, but at least it seems if you did not get 3 10s about your problem, we need to talk about your problem and we need to work with you in helping you identify the right problem for your startup. I hope this,
sir, can you show the previous slide
for a second again? Okay. So this is first question. Popular है कि नहीं है problem जो आपने pick किया है? क्या वो growing problem है? क्या वो urgent भी है? Do people need an urgent solution? Right. So these were the first 3. The next 3, are the alternatives available in the market expensive? Which means it's great news for you. क्या वो problem frequent है, बार-बार आती है, right? And क्या it is a must solution? People want a solution, must have. I need a solution. Yeah, I'm tired of this problem. I need a solution, right? Pick up that problem. Great problem. Okay, Akash, can I move to the next one?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So we spoke about 6 tests, and I hope you got at least 3 10s. Otherwise, we are going to talk again. Few other things you should think about there, right? This is more a descriptive, so I'm not asking you to think, but think about it. What makes your product or service unique and superior to the competition? आपने जो भी problem सोचा है, उसमें कोई ना कोई तो player होगा भैया, right? तो आपका so is your product better, faster, cheaper, convenient? How does your product better than the competitor's product? Just think about it. I don't want you to give any answers, right? But you have to think about when you think about this is question number 7. What makes your product unique and superior, right? And then the last question is, or the second last, I think. See, everyone is thinking about the same problems. Why you and your co-founder, or you and your family, or you and your team, or you alone? Why do you have an unfair advantage over the others to solve that problem? Why are you better equipped than others to succeed? If I give an example about my own startup, BizStart, what is the unfair advantage I have? Well, I've got a CTO who is an ERP expert. He's one of the best in the world, right? The second is I've spoken to 800 business owners. I belong to a business family, so business is in my blood. I have researched, I've done programs at Harvard about I mean, if you think about the combination of what my CTO and me bring, it gives us an unfair advantage. In fact, I throw a challenge to all of you. You create a BizStart in the next 6 months, right? And we'll see. I'm giving you a startup idea. We are solving the entrepreneurship, education, and skill development problem in India. You have a startup idea already, BizStart. You can copy that idea and make it a big deal. It's a real opportunity, right? But do you have an unfair advantage over me? No, I have an unfair advantage over you. So see, pick an industry in which you have an unfair, thoda bahut, right? You have an expertise, you have got experience, you have got the resources, you have got a CTO, you have got a partner, you have got catchment clients whom you could cross sell your news. Kuch unfair advantage hona important hai, right? And then the last one is, once you have all this, everything which we spoke today, you have to put it in 2 lines. If you are not able to put it in 2 lines, and one mistake that a lot of startup founders make, because this is one of the most important exercises I do with startup founders, right? I ask them to put their problem statement, and almost always I've seen that they end up talking about their solution. I'm giving you an example of Netflix. Unka problem statement kya tha jab unhone start kiya tha? Going to the video store is a pain. People don't like traveling back and forth just to rent a movie, and they hate paying late fees even more. If you think about it, they haven't spoken about a solution. We don't even want you to talk about a solution at this stage. As I said, the starting point of a startup is a problem. Just write a problem statement. What is the problem that you want to solve? So in summary, we spoke about disruptive innovation framework. Then we spoke about 4 other ways to get startup ideas. Then we said there are hundreds and thousands of problems in the world in India. So there are startup ideas. And then we also spoke how to evaluate your startup idea. Now, what are the next steps? As I said, we are trying to help you. So help us help you. We will be arranging weekly sessions with industry experts and mentors. At times I'll come, at times we'll get an industry expert. We are thinking of a manufacturing turnkey startup founder to come and talk to you. We are thinking of also a personal care. If you want to launch your own brand of cosmetics, right? Cosmetics is one industry. When I spoke to 800 business owners, cosmetics is the only industry where the profit margins start from 500%. 500% is the starting. The founders of Nykaa, and off late, if you see ads about Tyra, Tira, I don't know how they are, Tira, Tira, they are not fools, right? They are startups because they know it's 500% or upar ka profit margin, right? If you want me to get a personal care, how to launch a formulation, right? I can get that. I've got 271 entrepreneurs empaneled with me. Jito has got another 100, 200 great people. JIF has got another, right? But we don't know who do we get in front of you. So help me understand. So help us understand by responding to the business plan ke questions. If we put a poll on actually the WhatsApp, do that. I really appreciate all of you giving a response to the earlier question. We need to know know about the specific help you are like actually looking for. So please, right? It is very difficult for us to understand what is the need of 358 people. If you could log into Jitopreneur platform, which is www.bizstart.in, Jitam, I log in. There are all the modules. All of you now know assessment आपका हो चुका है. Profile 25 आप खोल सकते हैं. उसके बाद में business plan का section है. उसमें just answer at least if you could answer. I think as of yesterday, 3 people had completed the plan. I mean, 60 people had started. I'm so happy. Or in fact, it is more, right? But if you could at least answer those 4 questions, I'll say 4, 5, 6 questions. If you could answer all, it will be a huge help, so that we are really able to help you. I'm sorry I took a few minutes extra, but I want to open it up for questions. So you can unmute and I should be able to answer your questions. So feel free to ask. And Akash, if there are any questions in the chat, we can take those. Feel free if you want to put a question in the chat on anything which I spoke today, feel free. Yeah, Suyansh. So
Jai Jinendra, good afternoon. This is Suyash. So my question was, so there's this question about being mandatory, right? Is something mandatory? Is it a mandatory problem to solve? Now, there is an underlying assumption that particular organization wants to grow. So if I'm creating a solution for, let's just say, a B2B or NGOs, my underlying assumption is that they want to grow. If they want to grow, then it is mandatory for them. But let's just say, if it's an attitude like that, then it might not be a mandatory solution. So how do I come up with a conclusion for such a problem? Thank you.
Yeah, great. So Suyash, if you see, since you brought a specific problem, right? Do people want to grow their business? Mandatory, 1,000 times mandatory. Though people don't ask or people don't share about it. But I can bet every business owner, when he's sleeping in the night, is thinking, "Yaar, how can I grow my business? And how can we make?" So let me also share another angle of the artificial intelligence which BizStart is working. We are trying to make the expertise of a McKinsey available to a small business owner in India, solving your problem, right? Exactly the problem which you said, right? We are solving in our own way. So you don't have to stress out. If it is a mandatory problem, go and ask, right? You may belong to a business family. Your friends may be from. Do they want to grow their business? Mandatory problem, no doubt about it. Okay.
Thank you.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, please.
Hello, sir. Jai Jinendra, Prakhar here.
Yeah, Prakhar.
So my interest and the area which I'm exploring is the agriculture related startups. Not focusing on the solving the how to purchase a good quality, but in the cultivation side. Because in my mindset it is that the agriculture is the thing जो कभी खत्म नहीं होनी.
Right.
And वो बढ़नी चाहिए, उसमें business बढ़ना ही है कितना भी करो.
Right.
And the farmer side, how to increase the productivity and fulfill their demands, so that the supply chain is smoother, so that we can supply easily. So how to, I'm completely from a business background.
Yeah.
And how to research on that field.
See, so agriculture is an interesting field, and if you know, we have got maximum use cases from agriculture in our profiles. I think you've got 40 plus ideas, right? Or एक idea में 5 नाम है. So you have got 200 startup case studies on our platform. Now you have to first understand, right? What is the unfair advantage which you have over some other startup which is going to solve it? I'll give you an example of Ankit Jain, right? Ankit Jain is in Udaipur, and I'm in touch with him, and he has got a startup called EY Polymers, if you have heard about it. उसके founders हैं 2-3 साथ में, और Japanese investors have invested, and उन्होंने बेसिक सा प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व किया। यार इंडिया में है ना पानी की प्रॉब्लम है, राइट? सो अगेन, राइट, यू कांट pick agriculture as a problem. You have to pick a mandatory popular growing, right? All that problem, right? They said people don't have enough water, right? पानी तो है crop में, but not enough. Can we increase the chemical or a mixture? They sell it in sacks, right? आज बोरियों में काला कलर का कुछ पाउडर है that increases the moisture of the soil by 30%. Product into the water, and then you spray that water or you put that water in the field, the impact of the water on the crop increases by actually 30%. So इस केस में उन्होंने क्या किया? They had to come up with something innovative, है ना? कोई होगा, साइंटिस्ट होगा, उसके साथ में उन्होंने किसी के ऊपर काम किया रहेगा. It could be a molecule, it could be something, right? So that is one idea, right? There could be an invention angle, a creativity angle. एक वो हो गया. Second हो गया, which state? Because agriculture is very different by state. If you are talking of Rajasthan, there is Kazri, Central Arid Zone Research Institute, right? So are you trying to help people who have got problem with water and droughts? So अलग type of solution होगा. Or are you talking about Maharashtra in Pune, where actually the problem is not water, the problem is how do you get big strawberries, right? I mean, right, उस type का problem है. So you have to first, I think, narrow down which region, what problem, and study those 30, 40, 100 startups जो already हैं मेरे पास, right? And after that, if you feel you need to talk, see, now if around 20% people say we want to get an agri-tech startup founder to come and talk, I can get the head of Egg Hub in Hyderabad come and talk with all of you, which is why we want to know कौन सी industry. Question number 3 in the business plan, which industry is your interest? You may change your industry. We are not going to hold you accountable, but let us know. In which case, we'll get an agri-tech startup founder to come and talk to you. Or we can get Ankit Jain to come and talk to you. Okay? I hope it was helpful. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Thanks. We can take a couple of more questions if anyone has.
Yeah. Hello, sir. Yeah. So my question is like the idea which I have in my mind that falls me in the category which doesn't have these 3 tens, as you said.
Which is fine, as I said.
But I feel the market is not like the growth of the market. The growth is very high in that market, and this will become a problem in 3-4 years. Maybe it's not a very mandatory problem right now, but it will be a problem in the coming future. So, like solving a problem which is going to come, is it beneficial, or like we should look for the current problems only and work out on that?
No, I would say try to pick up a current problem, right? Because say WhatsApp would have failed if internet was not available to all the people, right? So WhatsApp idea was a great idea, but till the basic infrastructure is in place, right? You cannot do anything with your idea. So it's fine to think about a future problem, but then you won't have use cases now. If it is a future problem, na, using the disruptive innovation का जो हमारा framework अपन ने जिसकी बात की थी, right? उसमें you'll get stuck on point number 2 and 3. You don't have a niche. You don't have people who are saying these people are not fulfilling my need. So फिर how will you do because startup is all about experimentation. No one knows about the solution. You have to evolve the solution. So in order to evolve the solution, you need to talk to real people who have that real problem. Na? So don't try to come up with an idea which solves a future problem, because you won't have any way to learn every day. Startups are about learning and experimenting every day. You need to learn every day, right? So you need to have that kind of an environment. अगर वो environment आपके पास में नहीं होगा, then I would say no.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks. Any last questions? Last 1 or 2 questions we
have.
Hi
Hitesh ji.
Hi Aditya.
Good afternoon. Thank you for giving us your time. The question that I have is a particular sector that is not mentioned in your research, or on your portal, that is a pretty unorganized sector. And I feel there's not immediate need, as you said in the previous answer, don't focus on that. But I feel people are there in using that, there's a business around it, and people are doing that kind of business, but there's not organized sector.
Okay.
And the target audience is very limited for that. What do you think of that? Like, for me, the problem that I'm trying to solve has a target audience of, say, between 3 to 10 years old, which is a very different target audience than who. So I just want to know, is that something that, and I mean, still in validating, I'm still validating the idea. So just wanted to know your thoughts on the same.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it is a great question. A lot of people feel, yeah, just because Hitesh said, is the market growing? Can I pick a market which is small? Absolutely. I mean, we are saying you pick up a big market if you want to create a unicorn. You want your software to be used globally, right, across the country. But if you are happy focusing on one city with a small segment, right, and it's not a unicorn, right, you're still earning enough, right, you are having an impact, absolutely fine with that, right? Absolutely fine with that idea. And all the more, the 3 to 7 or 10 years, which you said, ignored market, right? Byju's, right? I mean, I should not say that, but they were fooling people, right? No one has been able to solve the problem of the K-12 education system in the country, right? And what about we are Jains, right? हम आज संस्कारों की बात करते हैं. How do we teach sanskars to Jain people? If you have a startup, just what Jain niche, I'm sure, like looking at your startup, Maheshwaris will ask for it, Auroras will ask for it, right? Which is how it happens. Pick a small problem, a niche problem, and let it grow. See, we are not aware we have a problem, but we have a problem, right? People don't have the right sanskars if you care about those, right? As a Jain, right? And if you want to, I make an impact, even that is fine. I hope it answers your question, Aditya, or ask again if I haven't answered.
No, that was helpful. And just one last thing, just to add to it, as you said that that the sector that I'm working on or trying to validate is not mentioned. So how do I?
Absolutely. I mean, as I said in the first, right, there are infinite opportunities. I have got 781, and I think now we have reached 800. We are adding every, right? So if you feel you want my R&D team to do like research and identify startups, send me in person a note on that, and I'll ask my R&D team, and we'll in the next few days we'll have maybe 1, 2, 3 3 ideas right on that for like everyone. Absolutely fine.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Welcome. Yeah.
One question, Hitesh sir. So a lot of times you get so many ideas every day. How do you choose that one idea? Like, you gave a framework of validating the ideas, but every day you get a new idea. Like, so how do you freeze on that one idea that you want to work for your startup?
So in addition to everything which I've said, ask the questions, right, which I shared. Ask honestly, put your hand on your heart and say, right, even if you don't succeed in this idea, would you be happy in that space? Would you be satisfied doing that work, or at least having an intention to make an impact? And I know it has worked for me, right? At this age, right? I'm so passionate about the potential. I don't know whether I'll be super successful, small successful, right? लेकिन ask honestly कि यार क्या इसमें कल ups down भी आएंगे मेरे startup में, right? But if you are passionate, na, it will help you overcome that. Otherwise, क्या होता है? People pick an idea because it is the flavor of the season, and when there is any obstruction or a challenge, they give up. We want you to pick an idea where you don't give up. The person who holds the breath the longest wins in the startup game. The person who holds the breath the longest wins the win. So uske liye you need to have a genuine interest in that industry. So that is one Brahmastra, right? Apart from everything which I said.
Okay. A follow-up question on that. Yeah. How long do you have to hold the breath?
See, if you hold the breath in the right way, which means if you are following the disruption, see, if you are in love with your solution, then there is no point how long you hold on. Don't fall in love with your solution. Are you in love with the problem, and are you learning every day? Because if you are learning every day, I can bet you within 2 years, you'll be in the top 0.01% in India. if you are studying and learning in an area. People don't have patience here. Everyone wants to be rich overnight. Everyone today, which is why I'm saying it is like a full toss, right? The startups opportunity is a full toss in India if you are able to hold your breath. No one is ready to put 2, 3, 4 years. So if you are able to put those 2, 3, 4 years, right, you win. And if you learn every day, right, because you will be the best. Very simple.
One last question, Hitesh sir.
I'll just end my thought. According to me, any genuine startup cannot fail. Most of the startups which fail are dreams. Shark Tank they can impress right? I also want to be called a founder. All superficial reasons, right? A genuine startup, a person who cares about a problem and a person who can hold his breath for 2, 3 years, 100% I guarantee. All 100% startups will be a success. Okay, sorry. Now
one more question, sir, before we close. So basically, you mentioned about choosing the winning idea. How do you differentiate between like an existing problem which already someone else is trying to solve? Do you think we should get into it, or like how to choose that one winning idea?
See, if you want to get into something where someone is already a player, don't think of a startup. There is no problem if you start a business doing the same thing, right? How many people sell textile fabrics in India? 100 big brands, yeah. It's fine if you are a me too as well, right? It will be a business, right? You're not innovating because someone has already experimented, someone has already created a technology, someone has already created a business model. You just need to do a copy, right? Which is fine. A copy paste karna aapko. Then it is a business. Even that is not wrong. So why do you need to have a thappa of a startup only? I'm saying, right? You don't have to, right? I hope it answers what you meant to ask, Akash.
Right, sir. I appreciate. Thank you so much. Any other questions from the participants? Maybe.
So yes, this is Suyash again. So I think as we were discussing these 6 questions, right? These 6 numbers as we were numbering these questions, I realized that the current plan or the current idea that I was working on may not be high striking. And then I have a couple of other ideas in my mind which I feel is, array, इसमें तो 10 ज़्यादा मिल रहा है. So, sir, should I jump the boat? Should I still stay in the boat?
No, don't jump the boat, right? I would say, see, I cannot, see, so I don't have a day with you, right? I had only 45 minutes or an hour, right? So these are the top 6 questions, right? I think if you think about all the questions in the business plan, for your existing idea, answer all the 47 questions in the business plan and send a hi to me on WhatsApp. We'll take it offline with you. Right, about your idea. Don't change your idea. Unless वो 47 के बाद में आपको ये लगे कि यार इस idea में दम नहीं, तो बात अलग है. Don't take a decision. This is for the people who are struggling to come up with an idea. This is the first filter. Actually, the ultimate filter is 47 questions, all the questions in the business plan module. Okay?
Sure. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah. Any last questions? We are way above our time. Sorry about that.
So if any other questions, we are free, feel free to reach out to us at any time. We'll be having such sessions, a weekly session. Our next session will probably be on next Saturday. We'll notify you about the time and the topic for it. But in the meantime, we highly encourage everyone to start doing the business plan section. I hope every one of you have gone through the first 2 chapters of the ebook. Probably by the next week, if you can go ahead with another 2 chapters, that will help you to understand and evaluate your idea better and come up with a better solution to your business, idea that you are having. And also, while doing the business plan, you can take the questions. You can change your business plan at any time, but stick to one idea. So it helps you to think over it again and again. And in the meantime, feel free to browse through the 800 plus ideas that Hitesh sir and his team have researched upon and given at least 1 or 2 examples in that space. So anything that you would like to add, Hitesh sir, before we conclude?
No, it is perfect, right? So help us help you, right? We need to know you, right? Because it's not 1, 2 people we are trying to help, 358. in one go. So we are going to capture the broad themes, and then we are going to curate these sessions so that they help the maximum people. And then still, if you're not able to help, then I'll help one-to-one on those people. Okay.
Right. Just as a reminder, like while we are doing this session, it is in your interest to start doing the business plan at the same time, simultaneously put in some time to it. This is your business, your startup that you want to grow. You have to take that initiative. And well, like October 2nd is the date that we are looking to take all the data that we have, and interested, if anyone is interested, we can get you connected with JIF, who is going to have their cohort program starting from the mid of October. So take the the use of this opportunity. Selected ideas from the cohort will get a chance to present at the JELF event, where the top 0.001% of the Jain community is going to be there. These are all the Jain stalwarts, and you can maybe pitch your ideas there and find the right connects to grow your startup. So take the most advantage of the Jito platform. There are various projects where we can get you connected to. It may be in the field of incubation, maybe investments, maybe professional network, or maybe just you want to get connected to your customer base. So we are just a message away. So feel free to reach out us and let us know how we can help you.
Thank you so much, Akash, for coordinating that.
Hitesh sir, I would like to thank you for your time and thank all the participants for coming on a Sunday morning. And
sorry, so there is one question. Tattvam is saying how to get it. I think so. We had opened the registrations which had closed on August 10th. If you are a Jito member, and if you did not register, I think we are going to open maybe after a month another batch. So you'll have an opportunity to do a registration at that time. That is just responding to Tattva. Okay, then you should await the next time when we open the registrations. Okay, Tattva? Yeah.
All right. Thank you all.
Thanks.
Have a blessed
Bye-bye.
day.
All the
Thank you.
best. Bye.